the WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest. Now, it was the final ingredient for the perfect storm. This injury gave the WNBA the data they need to prove that pretend basketball is 100% reliant on one player.
The WNBA finds itself in the center of a ratings catastrophe, as Commissioner Kathy Engelbert watches her league's carefully constructed popularity crumble like a house of cards in a windstorm. The reason? The league's most valuable asset, Caitlin Clark, has been sidelined, and the brutal truth is now undeniably clear. Without Clark, the WNBA is returning to its pre-2024 irrelevance faster than you can say empty arena.
Their season. And the craziest thing about this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered. The day after she had the groin injury, she was listed as day-to-day. And then a couple weeks after that, then she was listed to being out indefinitely. Now, ESPN had August 12th as the circled return date for Caitlin Clark to get back onto the court. And just yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision for today's game against the Dallas Wings. And then after practice yesterday, Coach Stephanie White basically came out and said, like, no, Caitlin Clark hasn't even been practicing. So they changed it from a game time decision to her being out. This has been all over the place, and
the numbers don't lie, and they're absolutely devastating. Since Clark was sidelined with a quad injury on May 24th, national television viewership for WNBA games has plummeted by a staggering 55%. Before her injury, games featuring the Indiana Fever with Clark averaged 1.81 million viewers. In her absence, those same matchups are drawing only 847,000 viewers, a 53% decline that exposes just how much this league depends on one single player.
Last Saturday, the Indiana Felines and the Chicago Bravado played on CBS. How many of you knew that? How many of you guys watched this game? 2 months ago, this matchup would have been the leading story throughout the media. But when you don't have the rivalry, when you don't have the storyline of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, this is just another painfully boring pretend basketball game. Unsurprisingly, the Chicago Bravado got their ass kicked again.
The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game perfectly illustrated this harsh reality. Without Clark's presence due to injury, viewership dropped 36% from the record-breaking 3.44 million viewers in 2024 to just 2.19 million in 2025. And here's the kicker. That 2025 number still represents the second highest All-Star viewership in league history, which tells you everything you need to know about how pathetic the WNBA's ratings were before Clark arrived.
35%. WNBA ratings down, All-Star Game 35% than last year. Yet you're telling me that it doesn't have to do with Caitlin. 35%. It really makes it difficult for fans of the WNBA in general and Caitlin Clark, like myself, to have conversations, to join a Discord, just to I don't know, want to just talk up the WNBA in general when you can't even give Caitlin the props that she deserves.
Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is undoubtedly having sleepless nights as she watches her league's meteoric rise transform into a meteoric fall. The woman who inherited a staff of 12 and a pandemic-induced existential crisis is now facing an even more terrifying prospect. A league that has completely exposed its dependency on a single player.
Man, I miss Caitlin Clark. But all I know for sure about the WNBA is that it had better get Caitlin Clark physically and mentally healthy or risk sliding right back off the national map. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest here. I find it difficult to watch WNBA games without her on the floor. I did watch most of the All-Star game on Saturday night, mostly just to see how she would react as an unofficial coach. But guess what that game turned into? All the other players tried to be Caitlin Clark. That's what happened.
Engelbert has been dealing with mounting criticism from all sides. Players like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum have been vocal about officiating inconsistencies, while attendance and viewership continue to nosedive without the league's biggest draw. She's been forced to address these issues publicly, acknowledging that consistency is critical and that it's an area where we need to keep improving. But here's the reality. improved officiating won't solve the fundamental problem that nobody cares about the WNBA without Caitlin Clark.
This league has grown the way it's grown, undoubtedly because of Caitlin Clark. She was out of the All-Star game. The tickets to get into the actual event, half off. People went because it literally got chopped in half. If Angel and Caitlin and all the others grew the WNBA, right, then the viewership should have stayed up right now. During this past weekend, it shouldn't have dropped 35% viewership just because Caitlin Clark wasn't able to play.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Perhaps the most mind-boggling aspect of this entire situation is what happened behind closed doors during collective bargaining negotiations. Reports suggest that WNBA players turned down a deal that would have quadrupled their minimum salaries from $66,000 to $250,000, with maximum salaries increasing from $250,000 to $1 million. Phoenix Mercury forward Satu Sabali called this offer a slap in the face. Let that sink in for a moment. These players, competing in a league that loses $50 million annually and has never turned a profit in its 28-year history, rejected a deal that would have made them millionaires. They turned down a 4-time salary increase while playing in a league that exists solely because of NBA subsidies, approximately $15 million annually, according to reports.
I think we can focus on our players in the union. We got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face. And I think we really have to put an emphasis on the players that are in our league right now. But I love to see the league growing. I think, adding these teams in Philly and Detroit, that's how amazing is that the league can grow. But how cool would it also be to have a little bit expansion on the rosters? Let's focus on the teams that have everything set up right now, and maybe focus on the teams also that find excuses continuously to lack investment into their players before we focus on adding more to the grain of people that can't really be sustained.
The delusion is absolutely staggering. As one confused fan perfectly summarized the situation. So they rejected making million-dollar salaries in a league losing money? These players really think they're worth NBA money while playing in a league that averaged 160,000 viewers for a Mercury game without Clark. The mathematical reality is harsh but undeniable. You can't demand premium pay for a product that nobody wants to watch.
I don't know about this one, ladies. I don't know if this was the wisest decision. I really, really don't. I think you guys might be overstating your value just a bit. I'm a fan. I love Caitlin Clark. It's a bunch of players in this league that I enjoy watching. I think some of you may be overstating your value, and it is about to lead to a flat-out strike and lockout.
The brutal truth that the WNBA refuses to acknowledge is that Caitlin Clark is not just their biggest star, she is the league. The data is overwhelming and undeniable. Clark was responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity in 2024, including merchandise sales, ticket sales, and television viewership. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith put it perfectly when he called Clark the cash cow and box office, noting that her absence results in devastating ratings drops. Consider these staggering statistics. The Fever's regular season attendance averaged a record 17,036 per game with Clark, surpassing attendance figures for Indiana's NBA team that plays in the same venue. Overall, WNBA merchandise sales rose 500%, with Clark ranking number 1. Games featuring Clark generated 45% of total broadcast value for the entire league. One particularly telling example occurred when Clark's season debut against the Chicago Sky attracted 2.7 million viewers, but when the same teams played without Clark, ticket prices plummeted to as low as $3. The market has spoken, and it's saying that without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA returns to being a niche sport that most people ignore.
While 1.3 million is great, it is the least watched Felines Bravado game since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA dump. But I've noticed a trend recently with WNBA ratings. For starters, games not involving the Indiana Felines seem to be struggling. Back in June, the LA Sparkles played the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces on Ion, 459,000 viewers. 2 weeks later, Sparkles Minnesota Linkers on CBS, 702,000. That seems to be the number that the WNBA is averaging when the Indiana Felines are not playing.
Here's where the WNBA's problems become even more infuriating. Instead of protecting their golden goose, the league allowed a culture of targeting to develop around Clark. Sophie Cunningham, Clark's own teammate, has been forced to become an enforcer because the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple years now of them just not protecting the star player of the WNBA. The league's failure to protect Clark has been systematic and damaging. When Clark was poked in the eye by J.C. Sheldon and then knocked to the floor by Marina Mabrey, officials failed to eject Mabrey from the game. The WNBA only upgraded Mabrey's foul to a flagrant 2 after public backlash the following day. This pattern of allowing excessive physicality against Clark has created a hostile environment that former tennis legend Chris Evert called out directly. When will these ladies realize, accept, and appreciate Caitlin Clark is the best thing that ever happened to women's basketball? This is a bad look for the sport and what's happened to sportsmanship.
We really watching because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money? Stop playing with that girl home. Look, y'all need to start doing is put them emails together with the commissioner to the referees. Don't put y'all damn hands on Caitlin like that. You can foul her, but don't hurt her. And if you hurt her...
The harsh truth that players seem unable to grasp is that the WNBA operates in financial quicksand. The league has never been profitable in its 28-year history, losing an average of more than $10 million annually, according to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Those losses ballooned to approximately $50 million in 2024, despite the unprecedented popularity brought by Clark. The NBA currently subsidizes the WNBA with approximately $15 million annually and owns about 60% of the league. When you combine NBA owners' personal stakes in WNBA teams with the league itself, that ownership rises to 75%. As one NBA team executive bluntly told the New York Post, the WNBA owes the NBA so much we won't see any windfall for years. This is the economic reality that makes the players' salary demands so absurd. They're essentially employees of a company that loses money every single year, demanding to be paid like employees of the most profitable sports league in America. The mathematical impossibility of this demand would be laughable if it weren't so damaging to the league's future.
The WNBA's latest offer to its players, while dramatically increasing the salary cap and maximum base salaries, which a league source suggested could quadruple to at least $1 million from their current $249,000, follows the same model as the current collective bargaining agreement. These ladies wanted a larger salary cap. Boom, got that. They wanted a larger number when it comes to maximum base salaries. Boom, got that. They want a 50-50 rev share split. Ooh, they don't got that. The owner said, we'll give you this and we'll give you this, but this 50-50, ooh, it's looking dicey.
What we're witnessing now is the WNBA's return to its natural state, a barely watched basketball league propped up by NBA charity. Without Clark, the league is averaging significantly lower viewership numbers, reduced attendance, and diminished social media engagement. Even games featuring other supposed stars like Angel Reese fail to generate significant interest in Clark's absence. The media has scrambled to find alternative storylines, gravitating to players like Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham to maintain momentum. But as one analyst noted, it's a cool story, but not the same as neither players are stars like CC. The desperate search for Clark substitutes only highlights how irreplaceable she truly is.
I better not hear anybody ever say again that the Indiana Fever is a better team without Caitlin Clark. Like, do you see the score? Do you see the score? The Indiana Fever lost 95-60 last night against the Phoenix Mercury. Like, they got hoed last night. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. A complete embarrassment. Nobody showed up to play except for Sophie Cunningham. Kelsey Mitchell playing tunnel vision basketball, not wanting to pass the ball to anybody. Lexi bricking threes every other possession. AB was ghost town for 4 quarters. Like, I don't know where she was. Literally, she only had 4 points the whole game. Ari McDonald, Dantes, everybody was Brick City.
Engelbert now finds herself in an impossible position. She's watching the league's newfound popularity evaporate in real time while dealing with players who seem completely disconnected from economic reality. The commissioner, who once proclaimed confidence about expanding to 16 teams by 2028, must now confront the possibility that without Clark, those expansion dreams might crumble. The upcoming media rights deal, worth approximately $2.2 billion over 11 years, was negotiated largely on the strength of Clark's impact. If Clark's injuries continue, or if she decides to leave the league due to the hostile environment, that deal's value could be questioned. Engelbert is likely praying for Clark's swift return, knowing that every game without her superstar is another nail in the coffin of the league's mainstream relevance. The irony is palpable. A league that failed to adequately protect its most valuable asset is now completely dependent on that same asset's health and happiness. Engelbert's nightmare scenario is playing out in real time, with ratings crashing, attendance declining, and players making unrealistic financial demands while the league's foundation crumbles beneath their feet.
No one is watching it without Caitlin Clark. No one watched it before Caitlin Clark. And you can say, oh, Angel Reese. Angel Reese did not bring a single viewer. Okay? Like, she's not good. She misses layups left and right. And it doesn't have to do anything with, I mean, is her social media? No, she just can't play basketball. Okay? She can rebound. That's about it. Caitlin Clark can actually play basketball. And she has the fans that are coming from all of the Midwest, and including Iowa, and all around the world. Young girls, everybody's starting to watch the league. She's getting a ton of men to watch the WNBA. I'm not saying that men didn't watch it before, but there was a large majority, a large percentage at least, of men that didn't watch the WNBA before Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA's current crisis serves as a brutal reminder that star power drives professional sports, and artificial attempts to downplay individual impact backfire spectacularly. The league spent considerable energy trying to frame its success as collective rather than attributable to Clark, and now that narrative has exploded in their faces. The players who rejected a 4-time salary increase while demanding even more money have revealed a fundamental disconnect from reality that threatens the league's future. They're demanding NBA-level compensation while delivering WNBA-level viewership, and without Clark, that viewership is returning to pre-2024 levels of irrelevance.
Y'all turning down $1 million contracts? You mean to tell me the WNBA offered to pay y'all 4 times more, meaning max players will be getting $1 million contracts? Y'all turned it down? Some of these games are 30-31 at halftime, and y'all turning down $1 million contracts? Are you crazy? Are y'all crazy? Listen, man, being stubborn gon' kick y'all in the ass, man. Y'all gotta stop playing games.
Commissioner Engelbert's legacy will ultimately be defined by how she handles this crisis. If she can convince Clark to return and create an environment where the league's biggest star feels protected and valued, she might salvage the momentum built over the past year. But if she continues to allow player delusion to drive negotiations while failing to protect her most valuable asset, she'll oversee the WNBA's return to obscurity, a fate that seemed impossible just months ago, but now appears increasingly likely with each passing day without Caitlin Clark. The message is clear. The WNBA without Caitlin Clark is just another struggling women's basketball league that most people ignore. The ratings don't lie, the attendance figures don't lie, and the merchandise sales don't lie. Caitlin Clark is the WNBA's present and future, and the sooner the league acknowledges this reality and acts accordingly, the better chance they have of maintaining relevance in the crowded sports entertainment landscape.